Welcome and hello, hello and welcome and hello. Thank you for joining me on this extremely special edition of Friday edition TGIF and thankfully TGI Danny. Um and you are not. But anyway, guys, it's Un Poco Moss would like to welcome you. Just say welcome and hello, hello and welcome and hello, and just for good measure, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to welcome the great Low Country Luton Pawn, who's joining us from his sports car, SUV. I have no idea what you drive, but he's cruising down the Georgia coast in style. Welcome and hello. Um, Guys, why am I doing another SoFi video? Because listen, the stock dropped today. They just hit the thing again. There's so much volatility today. We got the Supreme Court ruling that these emergency tariffs are largely illegal. So now they're contemplating whether there's going to be refunds, how that's actually going to be implemented. The Supreme Court sent it back to the lower court with instructions. Um, I think overall the market received that as a positive, but then, Trump had a presser where he's, going to do more, even more tariffs potentially. So I think the entire situation is just a mess how things have been implemented. But, that's neither here nor there. I just want to talk SoFi because I really, really feel that this price action is based on such faulty numbers and such faulty logic that it's just basically a scam. I mean, this is a scam. And you hear the narrative in the media, oh, it's overvalued, valuation concerns. I could have seen that at 32, but the stock is now retraced like 43%. I mean, today they dipped it down to $18.51, which, if you know anything about bear traps, you definitely don't want to step in one. But the bears were not looking for 1851. They want to stop people out. They want to create that liquidity at those lows so they can accumulate and cover as low as possible. And they do that on the back of retail weak hands because, a lot of us think this stock is worth 37. That's kind of what I think it's worth right now. So, I mean, you're almost buying the stock for half price. So, look at what institutions are actually doing. Don't listen to what they say. Look at what they actually do. Here's the institutional ownership on SoFi. You just see huge pop again last month. And then if you look at the fund sentiment score, this was just 89, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. And now it's 90.28. So it's moved up from 1,000th out of 32,000 to 827th out of 32,000 stocks they track. So SoFi is one of the top, 2 to 3% of all companies, hedge funds, and institutions are accumulating right now. Again, I say this over and over, and it's just so simple and so easy to understand, but am I on mute? I'm not on mute. Sorry. Welcome and hello. I don't want to do nicknames today because I'm just not feeling that well, and I don't have that much talk or in my voice or logic in my brain. So I just wanted to get these sentence fragments out, this word salad out at you, and say welcome and hello, hello and welcome. Yep, user, they downgrade and they buy the shit out of it. That's okay. Um, that's fine. Just don't worry about where it is right now. Worry about where it's going to be when these EPS multiples really kick in. And that's essentially what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I mean, also just looking at these analysts, some of these guys just crack me up. You got a guy like Matthew Chode. He is as the stock goat would say, he's a 0-star analyst. He's a 0-star analyst. Um, he's been successful on 18 out of 60 picks. And then you got a guy like Midwest Values, who bolts on his head. That guy's got a neck. He looks like a wrestling champion. Anyway, good looking kid. But he's again 0-star analyst, one of the worst analysts you could possibly think of. Now, a guy like Mahir, this guy, he's a really good analyst, but I think Bank of America intentionally crashed the stock along with Goldman Sachs to accumulate. And then you got touchdown Will Nance. This guy, he's really put together. But again, he's literally a 0-star analyst. You can't, in this one little tiny left wing of this star, he's got about 5% of 1 star filled in. So we'll just round that down to a 0-star analyst. And then you come down to some of these other clowns, like Harry Bartlett. Harry Balls. This guy's got 4 ratings in his entire career. Rothschild. And then you got old touchdown Mark DeVries, who is an excellent analyst, and he last raised his price target from 14 to 21 way back in July. Hey, Mark, Come back and rate us. So much has happened in the last, 8 months. Couple of great earnings reports, couple of blowouts, couple of home runs. Get that giant chipmunk spurk and your giant five head out there and re-rate the stock already. Home slice, you know. An empty sack. Clearly, I have one testicle. Thank you, clap my dog. An analyst. Yeah, Dan win. Indeed, you are winning, sir. Carl Seamark, I think recession fears are hitting us, putting the price in growth at risk. Carl, I'm not arguing with you there, but obviously a full-blown recession is going to be bad for SoFi, but I think economic weakness could actually help the company. You're going to get faster rate cuts. You're going to get massive demand for their loan products. And then in terms of financial services and other, tech-based income, people are going to be desperate for loans. People are going to be, when you get those big rate cuts that we would get in a recession, and it's complicated because, CPI ticked back up a little bit. And then so you have the real economy sort of at the lower end really suffering in terms of not being able to pay their bills. But I think SoFi becomes relatively even more valuable because their loan book is not going to fall apart like some of these other companies will. Some of these, payday loan companies that finance your groceries at Walmart, on 6 easy payments. What's so easy about those payments? You guys ever stay up all night shopping on QVC and HSN? There's such easy payments, like they don't even exist. What's so easy about those payments when you're buying some kind of a little figurine that you don't need? Set up on your curio cabinet, like 5 easy payments of $99.99. Anyway, used to love me some home shopping. I buy a lot of stupid shit there. Got to respect the five head, Giuliano Bologna. The bologna sandwich has actually been pretty successful of late. So he's actually like a 5-star analyst. But, I got to respect that raise from 6 to 12. It's pretty dramatic to actually double your price target on a stock, even if it's a stock you hate. But, know what I mean? So what I want to talk about in terms of this forward EPS and why I think it's so faulty, what I'm projecting, guys, and I went over this with you the other day, is just 2 cents nominal, 2 cents added to EPS every quarter. And I know that you might go, oh, that's crazy. They're not going to do that. Newsflash, they did that all through 2025. They went from 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 and a half or whatever it was. And each time that becomes proportionally less. So it's actually extraordinarily conservative when management's telling you we're going to grow the top line at 30% plus, we're going to go the bottom line at 40% plus. But kind of with the napkin math we did yesterday, I think the incremental margins are a lot higher than that. That's my opinion. I think if they can grow that top line low 30s, they're going to be growing the bottom line 50% year-on-year growth. So just add 2 cents every quarter is extremely conservative. And every quarter that 2 cents you add becomes a smaller and smaller proportion. So I think I'm sandbagging this. And I think SoFi makes, 68 cents this year. And I think they make $1 next year. And that puts the forward. This is my bottom line. This is my thesis. This is my conviction. This is what I think. You can go, hey, you're crazy if you think they're going to make $1 EPS next year. I mean, and I'm not counting for any, future dilution offerings. I know there's going to be some stock-based compensation and such in there. But I wouldn't worry too much about that because, again, the stock-based compensation and all that stuff becomes much, much smaller. I mean, we were all whining about it when they were selling $1 billion a year because it was such a huge proportion of the sales. And they were obviously making negative profits. So it stings even more. But any way you evaluate this thing now, say they make 4.65, about 4.65, 4.62, whatever the midpoint, on sales this year. You divide that into a market cap of 24 billion, it's only, 5.2 times, 5.1, 5.2 times. I'm doing that off the top of my head, but I think it's 5.19 or something. Times sales for a company that's growing the top line mid 30s. I would argue they're going to be growing the bottom line 50% plus. I mean, management's calling for 40% EPS growth over the next 3 years. So if, just very conservatively, I believe it's very conservative. What they want you to believe is that they're going to sell 60 cents this year, and then they're going to make 60 cents a share this year, and they're only going to make 79 cents a share next year. Does that make any sense to you? Given what they made, previous years, what they're making this year, given the trajectories, it doesn't make any sense to them either. They just want your shares as cheap as possible. They don't care if they buy your shares at 22 or 19 or 18.50, because as soon as they own all the shares, they're going to run this thing up. And it is going to get S&P 500 inclusion. People are like, well, they might knock it down so far to 15 or whatever that it falls out of S&P 500 market cap range. But that's going to be very transient. It's not required for S&P 500 inclusion that you maintain that market cap for, a year straight, or you just have to be profitable for 4 quarters. And SoFi is, knocking that out of the park. They're profitable over and over and over. And I think the S&P 500 likes a name like this that's so consistent. Why do I have such high conviction? Management faced a lot of challenges, regulatory headwinds, these, high interest rates, the rate cuts everybody thought was coming that never came. I think Noto is, far ahead of this field in terms of, projecting what's going to happen, hedging against it, planning for it. I have a lot of faith in SoFi management team, if you couldn't tell. But I just look at real numbers, and this stock is incredibly cheap. If they're just able to, do EPS of 14 cents, 16 cents, 18 cents, and then 20 cents this year, which I think is incredibly realistic, that'll be 68 cents EPS this year. And then if you just continue to add that 2 cents, you'd be 22 cents, 24 cents, 26 cents, and 28 cents next year. And that gets you to $1. And then if you continue with my model, you only get to $1.32 in 2028, which is way below the 40% EPS growth management's projecting from there. I think everybody is completely underestimating the incremental margin of this company. What are the costs that are going to go up to prevent the incremental margins from just skyrocketing? And when you talk about a company going from just over 3 billion to 4.6 billion, if the incremental margins are, 40 to 60%, which they often are at this stage, because all of the stuff they had to pay for, the integration, the build out, the servers, it's all done. You've gone through the hard part. And once the company's hitting on all cylinders, they run a pump and dump, they crash it. They got a lot of us feeble-minded turds to buy in the high 20s, but they want you to buy in the high 20s, then lose, 30, 40% of your value and then dump here. They want you always to sell the dip and then smell the rip. I talked a lot about this with some of these other companies, that ran up, whether it be Palantir or Hood. They had institutional ownership, 80, 85%. That's what happens. SoFi is just pushing up towards 60%. Now, you're not going to probably get to 80% because, retail is very passionate about this stock. And also, insiders still own about 15% of the company, and they're printing shares on our back all the time. Everybody's just taking a bite out of our ass. That's how it works. The market treats retail SoFi investors like Tony Beats treats Parker Schnabel.
Hey, Tony, is it okay if I borrow a little gold dust? Want to pick up a few SoFi shares? My D10 dozer and my Ripper aren't able to cut through the tundra.
I tell you what, Parker, tell you what you do. You go ahead and head down to the creek and you go ahead and jump in it. You little shit.
Okay, thanks, Tony.
Fucking Tony Beats.
Nose plug's not gonna smell the rip. Yeah. You don't need to smell the rip if you own the stock and you participate in the rip. Only thing I don't want you guys to do is just buy up high at 30 and sell down here at 19. That's clearly what they want you to do. And some bulls stepped in today at 1851, or maybe they didn't want to hit that stop. I don't know. It seems like they could have. It seemed like they were definitely pretty in charge of the stock, but This wild volatility is just designed to scare you, to disorient you, to take your confidence away. Look at the fundamentals, guys. And everybody's saying, oh, if we go into a recession, everything could fall apart, the wheels could come off. I think SoFi is better situated, better positioned to handle economic downturn, to handle, rough seas, if you will, better than any of their competitors. They're more diversified. They fund their own company through deposits. Those deposits are growing rapidly. Their membership is growing rapidly. And if you get into tough economic times, I think it's going to drive more and more people to SoFi. I think that's only going to accelerate the shift from mega banks and regional banks and credit unions toward these more modern fintech choices like SoFi. And who's the only one doing what they're doing with a real bank charter? Now, I know you could talk about Discover Bank or American Express, but it's all bullshit. Those companies are dinosaurs. They just got bought by Capital One. Discover is owned by Jennifer Garner. What's in your wallet? Yeah, fuck off. Just too wholesome. Tainted by the association with Asfleck. She used to work at Boston Sand and Gravel. Old John Hamm, Mr. 6 Inches. Ugh. How did John Hamm get away with that fraternity hazing incident? Didn't even do any time. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Some of his frat bros got charged and criminally convicted, but he skated free. Unfucking believable what people do, what they get away with. Not like, I was reading another story about this Marky Mark Wahlberg. Jesus. The shit that guy did. Just racially motivated beatings. Hey, it's all good, Try to get his record expunged so he could get a liquor license or something. They're like, nah. Such a good guy though now. He used to be a violent, racist psychopath, and now he's a good guy. It's not that he got wealthy and got a PR team and, maybe is a better actor in real life than his movies would indicate, but I don't know. I guess people can change. I guess people can be stupid and young and make mistakes and reform. Hopefully. Oh, Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys, they buy the lows, they get in the crack, and then they ride the wave right up to the old belly button. See what's up there. No, Canada cheat at curling. They're yeah. Hey, and the South Koreans cheated the Chinese in speed skating. Yeah, they barely nudged the lady with her pinky finger. She went sliding off. Speed skating is one of those ones where it always comes down to the referee. It's almost always a disqualification or two. Person who crosses the line celebrating is very likely to get DQ'd. I'm not talking Dairy Queen. So anyway, that's just I don't want to go on and on. I know I always do, but this stock is cheap. They're telling you it's expensive because they're using complete Fugaz numbers. I mean, look at these numbers. Does this make any sense to you? This stock, why is it shorted at even 9%? They have no down quarters. They're talking about valuation. The valuation is too damn low, if anything, way too low. Okay, I could have, again, seen valuation hand-wringing at 32. Not at 1880 or whatever. 1888 edition, the Toyota. But even the average analyst estimates, they have this massive jump in revenue because you can't get away from that. And then they have them, the growth rapidly decelerating into 2027. But even if you believe this number, 4.62, some other places I've heard 4.65, if you have any realistic expectations about the incremental margins, if you can just do math and see what's already happening with the incremental margins, it's impossible that they're going to grow the top line that fast and grow the bottom line this slow. It's impossible. It is impossible. They are conning you guys. Trust me, I'm super good at math. Okay? I was, 6 or 7 grades ahead in math. By the time I was in junior high, they didn't even have any math classes left for us. And I mean, I'm no genius. I'm not even a role model. Oh, what the hell is this? Oh, fuck me in the troll ass. Oh my God. I got so much water damage, guys. What? Nothing in Southern California is built for weather. It's like built for hibachi grills and sandals, mandals with socks. Built for guys who just want to sit around a drum circle with a campfire. But the minute we get a pouring rain blowing sideways, I got every tenant, every client just calling me, wanting me to come perform miracles. I might look like Fat Jesus, but I can't walk on water.
Okay. Okay, officer, I'm on a cell phone here. I'm trying to drop my daughter off at soccer practice. Okay, I had my first kid. I cut my hair real short. I'm a bit of a pear shape. Okay, they call me Stock Karen. Now you get out of my face.
Stock Karen dealing with a traffic stop. May I see your license and registration?
No, you can't. Talk to me that way. I want your name and badge number.
Imagine Stock Karen as a First Amendment auditor, just absolutely pepper spraying everybody. They got the sauce. They deserve the sauce. He walked out of his store and he asked me why I was filming in the window real close. He asked me why I was trying to get his VIN number. I pepper sprayed him. Well, did he attack you or something? No, he was just asking me questions about why I'm filming. I just pepper sprayed him. I love the people that just run out and attack the First Amendment auditor for no reason. It's like a camera, not realizing there's like 40 other surveillance cameras on that street. Everybody knows every time you fart, they've got that on camera, got that on AI. They're tracking your farts, guys. Let me tell you. Homeland Security is tracking your farts. Tiny Wayne Construction, indeed, Fireman Pete. It's like they build stuff like garbage. I watch townhouses, these 3 on a lot townhouses go up on my street. I have one of the last single family houses on my street because it's like 100 and some years old and I'm the only one stupid enough to maintain that little shit box. But they build these 3 on a lot, condos. They sell them for 2.5, $3 million a piece. And then they just start to fall apart within months. The contractor's back over and over and over. The fence is falling down. What kind of fence doesn't even last a year? I mean, I build a fence, that shit is going to outlive me. Believe me. And that's no big accomplishment considering I'm headed for a massive infarction due to the stress of my stocks and just being obese. I got a lot of good habits, though. I've quit all my bad habits. Just got to eat a little better, doing a lot of exercise. I feel like the stress and lack of sleep is really fucking up my weight loss journey. Just trying to live my best life. Go to Pilates, go to yoga, put on some tight yoga pants, get a man camel toe. That's why I got pepper sprayed, I think. My sheer white yoga pants and the cottage cheese situation on the caboose. Why'd you pepper spray that fat guy? You see the pants he's wearing, officer? Well, you got a point. Not guilty. Y'all got to feel me. Yeah, cycle your way to profits club, my dog. That's a good one. Yeah, man knuckle. Not bad, Jay SoFi. I lost 60 pounds in 3 months. How'd you do that? Cut off your leg? You have diabetes? Lost a leg? I feel for you. Super easy. Not for me. I salute you. I love John Candy, Larry the Cable Guy, John Goodman, Hurricane Lopez. Thanks, Billy Jack, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, John Candy's one of my absolute favorites. Larry the Cable Guy is pretty good, actually. That blue collar, I could not get into Jeff Foxworthy. Guys, do you want to hear any more of this stupid show? Would it surprise you to learn I really have to pee and I have to wash my hands? I'm sorry. I'll be back in as soon as possible using soap and water. All right. Welcome and hello once again to me. Thank you for joining me. Where the hell's an auto lurker? Whenever I don't have an auto lurker involved, this show just sucks. He's on his last kilometer. Where the hell are you from? You on the metric system? Come on, get a system that makes sense. The imperial system. I mean, what's easier, 1,000 meters or 5,280 feet? Is that even how many feet are in a mile? I can't remember. The imperial system is like ridiculous, but it's all based upon penis measurements. The guys, everybody's lying, everybody's telling fish stories. Like,
Well, what would be 1 foot? Well, my foot's, 12 inches because the curtains match the drapes.
and they're all just, got tiny wings trying to overcompensate.
No, let's make that foot bigger. And by foot, I mean my penis. Like,
Dad, why do you think our mining stuff? Well, Todd, you're a fat fucking idiot and you don't know the first thing about mining. How about that?
I sound like some kind of troll smurf, Dad.
Jack Hoffman's still alive. I hope he is. I really like those guys. I respect the fat man. Hold on again, guys. Sorry. Oh, what do you know? That's my contractor giving me some massive bill for some more water damage, a little water intrusion. People that install windows, I don't know what's wrong with them, but it's not hard. Retrofit windows are not hard. You just have to use the right adhesive, the right amount of that adhesive, and those things will not leak for decades. Ben Rhymes' Pulp Fiction is somebody who died recently. Oh my gosh. Wasn't that the same guy who was Redbone or whatever? And what's that movie with Billy Baldwin and Benicio del Toro? The Usual Suspects. Wasn't he in that? Wasn't that Zed? And that other dude, that creepy dude who ran the pawn shop, little chubby guy with the ponytail. That's not a guy you want to run into in a basement with a gimp. Zed is that Payush. Completely agree with you. Accidentally shot himself in the balls. It's me. Banana and rice for everybody. Who's eating banana? Yeah, user. I was going to ask you. No starches. Yeah, I've done that, but it doesn't work for me. I did the Atkins diet, the protein diet, the bacon diet. I did the Oreo cookie, Ben and Jerry's diet. Used to do a diet that really didn't work for me. Just tons and tons of Ben and Jerry's. Oh, anyway, guys, SoFi is really cheap. You're talking about, in my opinion, 19 forward EPS, and they're going to be growing the bottom line, I think, between 40 and 50%. Maybe not forever. Of course, not forever. I mean, it's going to slow down, it's going to decelerate, but the incremental margins are just starting to kick in. The operating leverage is just starting to kick in. And if you see how rapidly they're at, and I think in a bad economy, in a recession, they add members and deposits even faster. Because if the economy's bad and you're worried, are you going to keep all your savings or your checking or whatever at that 0.01? They pay you the same in a savings account as you do in a checking. 0.01%. It's like zero interest you get from all these mega banks. Where SoFi, you get what, 3.5 plus? Just get that, relay or what it's like $10 a month. Would you rather have that or, with the Robinhood Gold card, you get a little guy who comes around and tells you how big your wang is every day? shines your soul patch, tickles your bulls. I would recommend you sell blood and semen. I would recommend you smash your piggy bank. I would recommend you go rob a liquor store and buy SoFi. NFAFEPO. That's a joke, by the way, guys. Don't rob a liquor store. You get in a lot of trouble. Don't sue me, bro. We got 4X matters here. Eat sardines and buy SoFi. Hold the cornbread. I don't actually eat any cornbread. No, I mean, if I'm in the South, like a barbecue place. But yeah, I'm not like sitting around just baking up a big batch of cornbread in the morning for breakfast. They just call me cornbread because I'm moist, I'm doughy, and I crumble under pressure. Versa Tennis Clips is here. Bought a little play for 22 call for August. Do you think it was a good call? I think the recent moves are too much. Yeah, I think that's a great call. I think you're going to do very, very well. I mean, honestly, again, people will think I'm crazy, but I could even go out a little higher than that. And I have. But, I was assigned 400 shares of SoFi at 25. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's Brian with a Y. That's not bad at all. And I know anytime the price goes down, but how do you think the guys who bought that offering, the bank of whatever, big banks bought the offering at 27.50. Do you think they're sitting around crying right now? Or do you think they're buying your shares down here in the 18s because they know they're going to run the stock up to 40 and 50 S&P 500 inclusion, and when these incremental margins just rip and EPS just absolutely rips? Noto built the free cash flow machine. He built this company to scale. He built this company to make bonuses. He built this company so he could go retire to his private island whenever he cashes out and leaves us all for dead. Noto, do you want to help retail? He's like,
Drive them out into the cold prairie.
Guys want to hear a Kevin and Costner impression? Just pretend I have a giant forehead and I can't act. I'm fond of you, Sam. Oh, the doctor's your brother, not your husband. Oh, this guy's a moron. What'd you say, Annette?
Come on, Annette, do the line. We got to get out of here. I need to get paid.
Rest in peace, by the way, to Bobby D, Robert Duvall, the real Bobby D. I think he's one of the best actors in the history of this country. I mean, he doesn't get the credit of like a De Niro or, a Dan Aykroyd or Pee Wee Herman, Ben Affleck. Low Country Loot and Pawns buying. That's all I needed to hear. I'm going to buy too. You sound like that slow dude in the Night Court episode. You're funny. I'm buying Neo. Yeah, Neo's making a move. JP Morgan reaffirmed their buy rating, but went from 8 to 7, which I don't really have a big problem with that because, that's still 40% upside on the stock. They're just chasing the price action. Just trying to, squirrel trying to get a nut, move their butt. The famous slow slug. I think I remember that. I haven't seen Night Court in so long, but that was a funny show. John Larroquette. You guys ever catch the John Larroquette show? Kind of had like a vibe, like sort of that banter. You got like a WKRP or a Taxi. It's kind of that really good ensemble cast, some great side characters and stuff. But you had that. It was also one of those shows where, like Taxi, it was very based on like a one setting, like a Cheers. These shows where you really never get out of that bar. I mean, once in a great while, you might go to a rival bar. You might go to a softball game where Mayday Malone is, messing up the competition down at Ray's bar. Yeah, Payush calls me John Candy Anthony. Chet Ripley. Yeah, I'm buying the hell out of SMC. SMCI is absurdly valued. I mean, the notion that those margins are not going to get any better is just flying in the face of reality. They're going to use the data center building blocks. It's not just the margin they're paying. It's not just the price. It's how fast does it get online? It's how easy is it to service? It's far more important how much energy you're using than what you actually pay for the data center over time. Because the big cost is the energy, is the electricity to run this thing. It's not whether, super micro makes 6 or 8% that's going to make or break you. But these big companies, these hyperscalers, the cloud-based ones, they're going to use super micro. They're the cheapest, they're the fastest, they're the best. And I honestly don't think Dell and HPE can compete with super micro on price. And their capacity, they're just massively increasing their capacity to build more racks every month. Because why? Because the demand is overwhelming them. This is when you want to see growth. And super micro, they're making money on that 6%. They beat EPS by 40% with gross margin under 7%. How is that even possible? Somebody give the Wigger a raise. Old David Wiglin. I read an article today in Fortune magazine. We're not in the actual magazine, of course, on the website. Who gets magazines anymore? But anyway, yeah. So Fortune was saying about SMCI, like, what were they talking about? Basically that, they didn't find that much actual fire in all the accounting smoke, but one of the recommendations would say immediately hire a new CFO. And they're talking about, I don't even think they're really trying to hire a new CFO. I think Uncle Chucky likes the Wigger. And I think the Wigger is actually navigating this. If those numbers are real, which I think they are, I mean, BDO is beyond reproach. How dare you question the bona fides of a BDO? No, they're like a third-rate audit company. But they had some issues of their own, but they're kind of getting back on the right track. SMCI and BDO are like getting right together. They're getting religion. Love those guys. Neo's up 5%. Yeah, Neo looked really good today. What really is important about Neo is that product mix. I mean, they sold, I think, 27,000 cars last quarter, but like 2,000 were Fireflies, through 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 were Envos, 21,000 or something were Neos, and of those, the huge proportion was the ESA, which is a very high, high margin vehicle. And then you're going to get that ET9, ES9, whatever that new SUV is. That's going to be, I think, going to sell a lot more than the private jet sedan deal, because people want SUVs right now. It's a status thing. That car is going to blow Range Rover right out of the water. And then those cars are going to creep into Canada. They're going to, creep into the West. It's only a matter of time. Neo is inevitable, in my opinion. I mean, I don't like the competition on swap from CATL. The competition they're calling a partnership, which doesn't really seem to be a partnership. Nobody's building any cars on the Neo swap, and everybody and their brothers getting in line to teabag CATL. Yeah, I did notice that. I saw an article yesterday that insiders were buying SMCI, which really doesn't surprise me. I mean, I know Uncle Chucky, he already owns like 56 million shares or something. Just something absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I did see that article, but I couldn't independently confirm that through filings. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, institutional ownership. Let's take a look. Yeah, that continues. SMCI institutional ownership continues to edge up. That's funny because institutional ownership on SMCI is actually higher than institutional ownership on SoFi. And I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, because I feel like SoFi is far, far the safer play. But SMCI, the asymmetrical upside on this stock is just silly. It's absolutely silly. This is a stock that, based on the financial performance, maybe shouldn't be at all-time highs, but I think it should be double here. I had some guy jawboning at me on the comments like, oh, you're a big fat idiot. You were telling people to buy SMCI at 58. I don't think I was really cheerleading the stock at the highs. I probably was, because I just get over exuberant. I get excited, Premature mastication and elucidation. Oh, masticate carefully or you could choke. That was the point of that Fortune article, was that, it's been 14 months since they promised to hire a new CFO immediately. But the speculation, at least in the article, was they're having a lot of trouble doing that because there's only a handful of people that can handle that job that Wall Street's going to respect. And those people want very high, huge money. SMCI doesn't like to pay people anything. Look at their margins and look at their profit. It shows they pay people peanuts, minimum wage. Everybody below the executive level is paid in pizza crusts and Aunt Sarah's backwashed wine.
Hey, Parker, let me tell you a little secret about mining. You got a tiny dick on you. Never gonna make it. Your mustache is weak. Look like you're dyeing your facial hair black with shoe polish, Parker. You always give the same fake, intense stare during negotiations. I'm not buying it, Parker. You're not even Scandinavian. You don't belong in the Klondike. By the way, Parker, I need a favor.
Okay, Tony, what is it? I got you. He's like,
Well, I need a special hydraulic pump to get my ripper to work, and you're the only one who has one within 1,000 miles. You help me out here, Parker.
wait, didn't you just tell me in your last breath that I had a tiny dick and I could go to hell and I should go jump in the creek?
I may have, Parker, but that's in the past. Let bygones be bygones. We're both miners here. We're good friends.
I don't know if I can help you out, Tony. I want to help out your son, Kevin Beats. He's a good guy. I'll give him equipment on credit, but wouldn't piss on you if you're on fire.
So that's how it's going to be, Parker. We're going to be enemies now.
Well, you've always been enemies, you piece of
All right, I'm going to go have some lutefisk and think about it. Some aquavit.
Oh man, I love me some Tony Beats. I believe SoFi, Billy Jack, Neo's not going to be 60 soon. I honestly believe SoFi could be 50 a lot sooner than people think. I mean, they're going to take a staggering proportion of their new revenues to the bottom line, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The variable costs are basically like bagels and coffee. It's all run online. It's all automated. It's all going to be AI. And all they got to do is hire a few more customer service reps, call it a day. If you price it by, sales multiple, forward EPS multiple, if you utilize something realistic, how do they think they're going to make 60 cents EPS and then less than 80 cents the following year? I mean, they're saying EPS is going to grow like 30% when the top line's growing faster than 30%. And the incremental margins just increase constantly. The math does not add up. It doesn't make any sense. That's why they're scaring the living hell out of you with SoFi. Like, could it go lower? Of course it could go lower. It can go anywhere market makers want it to go. But look at the volume on this stock. Look at how consistent this has been. And what's today? Probably 55 million. Already 60 million shares traded. We still have a half an hour left. It isn't working. What they're doing isn't working. I don't believe you guys are dumping wholesale. Now, I know some of you are, obviously, or else they wouldn't be doing this. But the more of us who can just grow a backbone, grow a pair of balls, and buy into this nonsense, the harder and harder it is for them to manipulate the price. And plus OPEX today. That's a whole nother can of worms because, SoFi bonehead retail schmucks are always buying way too many short-dated calls. The spray and pray method, just every week, just throw money into these short-dated calls, hold them to Friday till they're worthless. If you're going to play short-dated calls, buy them at the low on Friday, sell them at the high on Tuesday, rinse, repeat. You're going to make a lot of money on average. If you hold short-dated calls till late in the week, 9 times out of 10, you're going to zero. You're going to hell in a handbasket. You guys think I should do the SoFi rock opera in support of the stock? It's so bad. It's humiliating. I can't sing. I can't write. Can't hold a note. Can't carry a tune. It's one fierce beer coaster. Anyway, guys. Nobody scares user. That's for sure. Jay Ajayi is here. Can't believe what market makers are doing. Yeah, Microsoft is another one. I mean, I don't know what it's at. What is it at? 395 or something? Used to be my biggest hold at 397. Yeah. Microsoft's going to be the biggest winner in AI, I think. Not in the sense of like, they're going to blow up as quickly as like OpenAI or anything, but Microsoft is just meat and potatoes. Microsoft has already figured out how to push their AI right into every business and institution in the world. Microsoft is already figuring out how to monetize AI. I mean, people are giving, Meta a lot of credit on that, and Google's, hanging in there in search. But if you want to talk business to business, if you want to talk about who can exploit this where the deep pockets are, it's MFST, or as Jeremy calls him, Mr. Soft. Financial education, Jeremy. That's pretty funny. Big kahunas. Is that Hawaiian burger joint? Can I wash it down with a sip of your frosty beverage? Dude, I love me some Samuel L. Jackson. Anyway, yeah, Microsoft is a ripping strong buy right here. This will go back up over 500. I mean, they're going to be just fine in a recession. They're growing very rapidly. I mean, the narrative that Azure growth slowed down, they cannot meet the demand. I mean, it slowed down from 38 to 37, but they don't have enough data centers. They're going to be spending an incredible amount of money supporting OpenAI, supporting their own, infrastructure needs. So yeah, it might be choppy for the next couple of years, but if you want a stock that's going to pay you forever and forever and forever and grow and grow and grow and just dominate the B2B space, implement AI successfully to monetize it, I don't think you could do any better than Microsoft. Now, I like Google. I like Microsoft better at the current valuations, but I think Google is a great buy here too. Wash it down with a mango cocktail. I use ChatGTP for work. Gemini's bad for deep technical analysis. And it all depends too, like what models you have. You have a free model, you have a paid model. Yeah, but ChatGTP, that's completely integrated with Copilot. It's called Smart Mode because I pay for Microsoft 365 or whatever. So I think I get a little bit better model, a little bit newer model. I was reading somebody talking about how, AI is going to be displacing so many different vocations from lawyers to, customer service, talking about how it can already write code better than him. And he's been doing it his whole life. But he was essentially talking about how the models that the public gets for free are like 18 months behind the cutting edge stuff. He's like, those models are like kindergarten versus a PhD. It's like most of us haven't even seen the real capabilities of AI and we have no idea what we're doing anyway. You guys always get those ads for like that 15 minutes a day course for senior citizens to master AI. I do. Yep, honey fingers. Love it. Love it, honey fingers. Love your name. Where are all these new people coming from? Why does anybody watch this show? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I never say anything of import.
Maybe it's for my Tony Beach impression.
The rim shaker. The rump shaker. Rim shaker's loading. I like it. You and all the institutions. I love your stupidity. It makes I keep saying I'm like a caveman. That's why they can't trick me. That's why they can't fool me, because I'm too stupid. I don't do nuance. I look at numbers. I look at trends. I look at facts, guys. I am Joe Friday. Just the facts, you tiny wing, broke, piker, weak hand douchebags. God, I hate you guys. I hate my audience with a passion. But it's that passion that got us, that desire that drives me forward. Because as much as I hate you guys, I want you to make money. I want you to have a better life. I just hate you because you dump. All retail has to do is, okay, if a stock, if there's real change in the evidence and things go bad, of course, you have to, when you're presented with new evidence and a major change, you have to do analysis. That's critical thinking. But when the company's absolutely hitting it out of the park on almost every metric, and then they come back and tell you this is a bad stock, why would you believe that? Why wouldn't you take the opportunity they're giving you? And guys, I showed you the fund sentiment score. I mean, look at Supermicro's fund sentiment score. They have higher institutional ownership, but it's been, it's been there forever. These are fossils. They're hanging on. They are number 24,000 out of 32,000. SoFi is in the top 1,000. Do you guys get what that means? This boring, just to make institutions are buying every single share from you as fast as they can. That's why it's low. It's not low because the fundamentals are bad. It's not low because institutions are dumping. Institutions are buying as fast as they can. They're conning you. They are conning you. They want your shares and they want them cheap. And they want you, freezing to death out in a cold prairie. They want your huevos shriveled up and cold. Unity has the same margin ability as Mag 7. Why is that? Unity had a big photo. Jimbo Roofer, hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. Poonpoko Moss. SoFi going the wrong way. Yeah, I know it. I'm feeling it below the belt, believe me. Love the hate. Thank you, Tortuga Del Rio. Of course, you're the exception there. Thank you, Brian with a Y. I appreciate it. Rob Ferreira, the great Rob Ferreira. It's low because of a bad macro. Yeah, yes and no. It's low because of a bad macro, but those optics look very, very good for SoFi. I mean, when the macro's been bad, they've grown fast. When the macro's been good, they make more profits. Noto knows how to play any conditions. He knows how to play any weather conditions. He's all weather. He's an all-weather camper, fully insulated. Got the poop tank up above. Hims definitely needs to figure out that lawsuit. I wouldn't touch that stock personally. They say that the market can stay irrational longer than I can stay solvent. Doesn't work on people that are stupid. Yeah, because I don't put money in that I need to live the next month. I put money in that I'm not going to need for 10 years, or at least until my funeral for the massive infarction. Maybe I should get in shape. I'm going to listen to User. I'm going to lose 60 pounds in 3 months. God, I wish I could lose 60 pounds in 3 months, or even like 3 pounds. I'm just slowly DCAing 5 shares at a time. Luckily, I've followed this stock heavily shorted. Can move fast. Absolutely. This stock could be back at all-time highs very, very quickly. If you look at the chart on SoFi, it's just one of the things you notice is how does it go up versus how does it go down? That's, sorry, I'm all over the place here, guys. My stupid faux Tandy computer not working. Look at the move, guys. Look at this move. So as this pops up through, 1850, you have this little gap up, and then just this steady accumulation. Looks completely normal. Buying and selling, some ups and downs, big dips back, big corrections, couple of pops. You get up here, and then the algo takes over. Does this look like natural price action after this earnings report, this waterfall? Or does this look like another KBW hit job, tiny wing, bludgeon you over the head with a, sock full of pennies type of situation? And then they bounced it off 1851. Is that a bear trap? I don't know. Sure looks like it. But I have to see how much volume actually came in down there. Let's see. Yeah, quite a bit. 159. Yeah, they're right off the bottom. See, 1.8 million shares. This is what market makers don't want, is to drive the stock down to 1850 and then sell millions of shares, which is what you guys should make them do. You guys should punish them for their arrogance. Like Master and Commander is like, their arrogance will be their undoing. You guys like Master and Commander? I think it's a really good movie. I always choose the lesser of two weevils. It is a great trading stock, but for me, it's a great long-term stock. I'm going to hold this stock forever. I mean, I have flipped it a few times, some shares here and there, but overall, I just keep growing my core position. Growing and growing and growing. Danny's a growing boy. I got a microscope. I'd love to see it close above 19 here today, Jay SoFi. And I think it's going to happen because, NASDAQ is up. Everything's up. Everything's green. I mean, the Russell's slightly in the red, but there's really no reason. And I mean, I know you could say the macro, the deterioration, But SoFi, their underwriting is so incredibly good. How are they so good at lending with like no experience? I mean, you have these companies that have been lenders for decades and centuries, and SoFi is just a student loan company with no experience. And then all of a sudden, Noto comes in, starts making these personal loans, and they do it better than anybody. And there's proof of that because they can sell their loans anytime they want at a premium. You know, that's why people had such thing with, oh, their accounting's messed up. You know, they're just writing the value of these loans up immediately. But that's because they are worth that and they can actually sell it. And all those people who used to harp on that have gone completely silent because they have giant foreheads and tiny wings, tiny micro wings. They're not at all proportionate to their giant foreheads. Just ask Ben Affleck. You don't go until we verify. John Goodman was in that one too. I like any movie with fat guys. Though John Goodman's not that fat anywhere. Noto does underwrite every loan personally. Bets his head of hair on it.
Anyway, Parker, I gotta go.
No, guys. Tony Beats impressions aside, I got to get out of here. I'm losing my voice. I said this was going to be quick, and what do you know? It's another hour. Oh, fuck me in the goat ass, as Adam Sandler would say. Anyway, guys, it's Un Poco Moss. I'm Little Danny Cornbread DeCarlo. They call me Mini Water. They call me Stock Karen. They call me Hurricane Lopez. Of course, my Christian name is Tabasco Rojas, former Montreal Expos relief pitcher. I hold the distinction of having the worst earned run average in the history of Major League Baseball at 191. 101-mile-an-hour fastball. Very little control. Very little control. Always aim for the umpire's testicles. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you. You guys watch The Lockpicking Lawyer? I love The Lockpicking Lawyer. So many weird things on YouTube that I love. That I wish I had more time to just insomniac about. That dude could pick any lock and he has like a perfect manicure. And he's a lawyer. I hate people that are like super talented and successful, good looking, young, fit, happy, well adjusted, sane. You just went 1,603 kilometers. 10% tariffs. Let's go. Guys, I wish people understood protectionism is not going to work. The whole rest of the world is integrating. I mean, they're making deals all over the place and they're going around us and we're going to miss the boat. Isolationism in this world is just stupidest thing I've ever heard. I mean, could you imagine dictating a national trade policy of a guy like Peter Navarro? I'm not convinced, this Lutnick has he didn't even know what tariffs were. He didn't even know the definition. I mean, I don't trust this guy. Epstein's friend? Come on. Oh, I never saw the guy again. I was so disgusted. I mean, he said, I met the guy, and then I never saw him again because he was so creepy and I was so disgusted. And then the Epstein files come out, and it turns out he took his wife and children to the pedophile island for a nice little family lunch or something. He's like, whoa, I didn't see anything. It was all perfectly normal. Yeah, but why are you lying through your teeth about the relationship if you got nothing to hide? What kind of sense does that make? And if somebody's, convicted or pleads guilty to like child sex crimes, maybe disassociate completely. Oh, we just had a little lunch, brought the kids. Think it's better that you brought your kids? You bald asshole. I don't know. I don't know where they are, Mr. Premium of the Option. Maybe I should give you a wrench. But you're rarely here. You just drop in and out because you're too important. Just drop a quick one. Anyway. Yeah, it's pushing up a little bit here. Usually accurate. Anyway, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. What stocks are you covering, Cornbread? Neo, Prop, 10X, Iva, Microsoft, CRISPR. What else? What else do I own? What else do I like? God, so many stocks. I like SLS. We were just talking about that. I have to get, I don't want to just throw off names because then people will buy it and it's like I have to see what is the entry point? Where would I recommend? I mean, stocks I like, I mean, stocks I own, there's so many. I mean, I own a lot of Chase, I own Costco, I like Costco. I like I know it's a little bit not a, sexy stock, but I like Home Depot. I mean, these are stocks that I've owned forever. Bank of America, Chase, ran those things up like crazy. I have a lot of like weird names that I'm gonna do a whole portfolio thing, guys, and just show you the stocks I own. But I own way too many stocks. I don't necessarily recommend all of them. I usually have about 10 on my hot sheet. I like Mastercraft boats right now, believe it or not. So many weird stocks I research and like. Still haven't pushed the button, but I'm about to think before close. Yeah, Anthony, that stock is a sleeping giant. Their science is incredible. I think they're going to push out that lung cancer cure, and that thing's going to get FDA approved. I mean, it's not a cure for everybody, but this TIL stuff, this is the real deal. This is absolutely the real deal. You sound like Trump. He hates pretty boys like you, but he likes the pretty girls. Giggity. Yeah, he made some really weird comment. It's funny. Some of the stuff he says just like trips me out. Like it's not necessarily bad. It's just like, what the hell are you talking? He's like, you're a handsome guy, like, but I don't like handsome young guys. I like handsome women. Like, dude, come on, bro. Your third wife is over here gripping. You got to know that if he wasn't in politics, Melania would have been down the road a while ago. She's getting a little bit long in the tooth for his taste. But they're very close. They're very close, you can tell. Did anybody see the Melania movie? Oh my God. I watched a few parts of that. Oh, Jeff Bezos. What a guy. Just bankrolling that thing. What a piece of art. Market makers are pushing SoFi back to 19 since way too many people bought put 19 strike expiring. Yeah, and retail is more sophisticated. Cash secured puts, different things. Are not just buying calls. They're selling covered calls. They're selling cash secured puts. So I think a lot of retail investors are a lot more option savvy than they used to be with the proliferation of the internet. People like Invest with Henry, old Hard Nips Henry from Goldman Sachs. Felix, Felix. Oh, this coming one. Just bought my golden retriever a kilo of Peruvian wham wham. Down here in Monte Carlo. Partying with Zeus. Billionaire Zeus. Can you just look at options chain, check open interest volume, highest number on the call side, usually X cap in the stock, highest number on the put side, X. What do you mean the highest number? You mean the highest number where there's a lot of open interest? Or yeah, I mean, that's a fair, generally speaking, yeah, you're right. I mean, it kind of falls in there with like max pain. You calculate how much, how much it deviates from max pain and different strikes, but there's a lot that goes into those options chains because market makers are using them to hedge. Market makers are using them to hedge other transactions, other options positions. They can even use options on SoFi to hedge against another stock, believe it or not, in the same sector. That happens. So I'm keeping my shares. Good for you, BS Lou. I like it. Cannon fodder. We already talked to you, Anthony. Rag trade. Hey, Danny, don't you think capital raise followed by the crash was a coordinated gameplay? But yeah, I don't think it was necessarily coordinated by SoFi management, but I don't think they're angry about it. I think SoFi management knows that for the stock price to fly, they need institutional ownership like 70%. So this is a great way to get there in an accelerated fashion because they know those institutions that just bought the offering at 27.50, they're not going to buy more shares. They're not going to be all, overly aggressive to buy more shares in the 30s. They buy here in the teens. This is where they load. Yeah, the 27.50 was just like an appetizer for the main entree, which is here just loading the boat under 20. And they are loading the boat. That's what this fund sentiment score means. Over 90, and it just keeps going up. The fund sentiment score, aka ownership accumulation score, finds stock that are being most bought by funds. It's just that simple. They're conning you guys because they know you have a tiny wing and a weak hand. Well, you have one strong hand and one weak hand. Your one strong hand is for sexy time, and your one weak hand is for stock time. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Sorry, guys, this show's a little bit off color, a little bit lowbrow, hitting below the belt. Yeah, that was a great capital, right? I was saying that at the time, Honeyfinger. I was like, what are you guys so mad about? The stock was just like $9. Stock was just $12. And these institutions are buying billions at $27.50, and you guys are all complaining just because the stock was just 32. It was going to retrace anyway. Don't you guys know how anything works? You dummies. Stocks don't run from 9 to 32 and then just keep going up forever. They always retrace. It always works like this. Even stocks like Hood and Palantir had retracement. They have to. That's how price action works. It's not a big deal. Take my strong hand. Oh man, DH investing. Yeah, I agree with you. Just hedging against my shares for downside. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame people the way this thing's falling, but at a certain point, if you have conviction, you have to try to at least pick out the low and go balls deep. Anyway, guys, I've been talking at you for over an hour. I haven't said anything, so let's leave it at that. Let's just keep this one short. Like you're weighing. Anyway, guys, it's Un Poco Mas, the show where we give you just a little bit more. Thanks a lot. Stocks do have to backtest, SV. You got that one right. Balls deep. Clap my dog knows what I'm talking about. Speaking of retracement, look at Z. Holy hell. Yeah, some stocks have been, it's been absolutely brutal. I mean, Robinhood's down, more than 50% off the high, roughly 50%. Even Palantir is well over 200, is back down to like 130. So every dog has its day, but every day has its way of being forgotten. God, it's my birthday. Quote the great Dave Matthews Band. Used to love me some Dave Matthews. I don't know what they're doing now. I think it became like religious or something. Anyway, whatever. Good weekend, my handsome friends. Thank you, Clap My Dog, guys. Really appreciate it. Somebody do a wellness check on Not a Lurker. I think he's been waxing his head for the last couple of weeks. But he's probably very busy at work. Very important man, unlike myself. Thanks, guys. Peace.